The year was 1876. The village of Coldwick slept beneath a blanket of frost. The air was still and silent, save for the occasional groan of ice against stone. In the heart of the village lay the churchyard, its ancient headstones casting long skeletal shadows across the frozen ground. The wind whispered through the bare branches of the yew trees, their dark silhouettes swaying like mourners in the moonlight. The path through the churchyard was a shortcut, one that most villagers avoided after dark. This night, however, necessity outweighed fear for a young seamstress named Edith Carrow. Edith hurried along the snow-dusted path, her breath misting in the frigid air. Her worn shawl, wrapped tightly around her shoulders, did little to ward off the penetrating cold. In her hands she clutched a basket containing a length of fine silk, a rush order for Mrs. Haverford's upcoming New Year's Eve ball. The Haverford estate lay on the far side of the churchyard, a considerable distance from Edith's modest cottage. The shortcut through the churchyard, usually avoided after sunset, beckoned with the promise of warmth and rest. The air grew colder as she entered the churchyard gates, her breath catching in her throat. The silence of the churchyard was absolute, broken only by the crunch of Edith's boots on the frozen ground. The hair on the back of her neck prickled with a sudden, inexplicable chill. It was a chill that seemed to emanate not from the icy air, but from something altogether more unsettling. She paused, her hand tightening on the basket handle, her heart pounding against her ribs. Her gaze darted nervously from shadow to shadow, searching for the source of her unease. A low, mournful sigh seemed to rise from the very earth beneath her feet. She quickened her pace, her breath catching in her throat. A pale, shimmering figure detached itself from the inky shadows cast by the ancient bell tower. It hovered just above the ground, a wisp of white against the backdrop of the night. The figure was that of a young woman, her face obscured by a veil that flowed around her like a shroud. The ghostly figure glided towards Edith, her movements soundless, effortless. Terror rooted Edith to the spot, her mind struggling to make sense of the impossible. The apparition stopped before Edith, its ethereal form shimmering in the moonlight. A voice, cold and hollow as the grave, echoed through the stillness. "Why did you leave me?" it whispered, the sound sending chills down Edith's spine. Edith, paralyzed by fear, could only manage a strangled gasp. The ghostly figure drifted closer, its veiled face inches from her own. The scent of damp earth and funeral lilies wafted from the apparition, suffocating in its intensity. "He promised me eternity," the spectre moaned, its voice filled with sorrow and accusation. "We were to be wed beneath the shadow of the bell tower. He swore his love was true." The ghostly figure trembled, its form flickering like a candle flame in the wind. "But he abandoned me," it hissed, the sound sharp as shattered glass. "Left me to die alone. They found me swaying from the bell rope, a bride in white, forever bound to this cursed place." Edith, her voice trapped in her throat, could only watch in terror as the spectre relived its final desperate moments. Edith's mind reeled, her senses overwhelmed by the ghostly apparition before her. The spectral figure's sorrow was palpable, a tangible weight that pressed down upon her chest, stealing her breath. The icy hand of fear tightened around her heart, squeezing until she thought it might shatter. She wanted to scream, to run, but her legs refused to obey. She was frozen in place, a prisoner of her own terror. Then, as quickly as it had appeared, the ghostly figure began to fade. Its form wavered, becoming translucent until only a wisp of white remained. The scent of damp earth and lilies lingered for a heartbeat before it too dissipated into the night air. Edith, trembling uncontrollably, waited for what seemed like an eternity after the apparition had vanished. Finally, when she could bear the silence no longer, she turned and fled. She didn't stop running until she reached the safety of her cottage, the memory of the ghostly bride seared into her mind. The encounter in the churchyard left an indelible mark on Edith Carrow. The image of the ghostly bride, forever bound to the bell tower, haunted her dreams. She never again took the shortcut through the churchyard, not even in the daylight. And though she lived for many years after that night, the chill of the Wraith's touch, the echo of its mournful question, lingered in her heart like a shadow, a constant reminder of the chilling secret hidden beneath the cold, unyielding ground of Coldwick Churchyard. The tale of the Wraith of the bell tower became a whispered warning amongst the villagers, a chilling reminder that some vows, even in death, could not be broken.